In this video, we're going to go right ahead and create a demo workflow using Spatial Editor. So we can start by creating a new project. We can see the scene is empty, so we import a model. I'm selecting a coffee machine model here and clicking on Open. And now we can see the progress bar with our model being imported. This might take more or less time depending on how large your model is and how many parts it has. In the meantime, of course, we can play a bit around, zoom a bit, check our model out, and wait until the importing is finished. So after this is done, let's go ahead, maybe click on a part and go to Top Assembly to select the whole model. And we can see here on the right that by default, our model has been imported as a millimeter scale, but we can change this unit at any point in the workflow. And we have the quick rotate menu where we can move the model with or without, let's say, the pins and the markers, but here we have it by default with. We can change it here on the side maybe, but let's revert it back since our model was looking okay from the beginning. But if your model looks a bit wonky, you can use this quick rotate menu to put it looking up straight. And we are ready to add our special reference to start with our workflow. So we're selecting QR marker, we snap it on the model, and then we're using the transformation gizmo to move it around. We'll put it here on the side. I can also use the menu on the right to change the position or the rotation. Just make it looking upright here. And I could also maybe make it sit on the floor. So 0 here. And now that it's nice and flat, we can move it a bit closer maybe to the coffee machine, make a bit space for the next marker. And I can additionally change the size. Here I'm opting for 10 centimeter size, just to match our next marker. Maybe scooch it a bit closer. Looks good. And I can go ahead and add an arrow marker as well. Again, first we need to snap the marker on the model, but then we're free to move it wherever in space. Again, move it and rotate it as we need. And it's important here to note that the distance between the marker and the model reflects to the distance of the user to the model in the real component when using the Workplace app. So make sure you place it somewhere that makes sense, both in the model and the real component. And now that we're ready, we can take a look at the connector. We see these are connected with each other, but we don't want that. So let's delete it. And then connect the workflow start straight to both the markers. So the first thing that the user sees when opening the workflow is a prompt to scan markers. So as it is now, by default, our model is not visible to the user in the Workplace app. So we will have to add a scene state node in order to make our model visible. So we can place it here and connect it to both the markers because we want it to be the exact next thing that happens after scanning the marker. We can give a descriptive name here, like make model visible. So that's what we're going for. And then we can click on add scene state change. We have some options here. So we can make something interactable. Therefore, the user will be able to interact with the model, move some pieces here and there. This is only available for HoloLens 2 and will not work with mobile devices. We have visible, which is what we also want, where parts of the model can become visible or invisible. And of course, we have a recent transform where the scene state reverts back to the original state. So if the user moved something, it returns back to its initial place. So here we select on visible and adding the target. We can click here and control click, but we can also use the model explorer. So here we can select one or multiple parts or go straight ahead and click on the root to select the whole model. And after pressing enter, we are ready and our model will be visible in Workplace, although we can see no difference here, but that's how it works. And then maybe lay it better, and we're ready to start adding our content. So let's go straight ahead, add our first pin. Again, snap it first on the model and use the gizmos to move it a bit. I'm thinking an introductory pin. So we'll put it in the front of the model and it will tell us some general things about the coffee machine. I can use it here a bit higher, maybe a little bit more, put it a bit on the left, but it looks quite good to me, so we can name it. Let's say intro coffee. We could also change the shape of the pin maybe to a pointer, small or large, but let's leave it as it is for now. And we can add some content like a text description. So here, maybe we can say a quick intro or maybe a quick look into a coffee workflow demo. Like that. And maybe use this can here. Although it's for oil, we can use this as a visual icon. So this appears over our pin. And we can add other content type like PDFs here or visual, video or audio. And we can add a hologram. So let's go do that. A hologram highlights parts or the whole of the model. Here we want to highlight the whole of it, so we go ahead and select it on the Model Explorer. And this generation might take some time. Again, now we create a hologram for the whole model, so it will take a little bit more time, but that's okay. And since it's ready, we can already animate it or maybe edit it. So let's go ahead maybe and change its color. Let's pick this purple and maybe make it also pulsing. Okay, click on OK. And we see already the hologram has a different color here. And of course, we could also add lines or custom values for customized projects. So since we've given an intro to our user, maybe the next thing we want is for them to check for the water container for the machine to work. So let's put another pin in the back this time of the model. Again, try to move it around and rotate it with a gizmo. Place it somewhere nice that it makes sense. Let's move that out of the way. A little bit higher. A little bit rotation as well. That looks quite okay. So we can now name it. Let's say check water. And we can go ahead and again give a description to the user so that they know what they need to do for this part. And let's go with make sure that the water container is full. And since it's a visual inspection, maybe we can give it an eye icon. Click on OK and we can see that there. And again, we want to bring our user attention to the container. So we will add a hologram just with a container. And we can again edit it. Let's say we want an orange color for checking tasks. And we have pulsing. Pulsing holograms are very useful in bigger machines as well, as they attract the attention of the user. And we can see here our container is orange. Oh, that's a bit further away. Maybe let's move it a bit to the back. Looks great. And we can move on and see that the user also needs to check the capsule collector in order for the machine to work properly. So we move it a bit so that it points to the correct place. Turn it a bit and give it a name. Check the capsule container, or maybe the collector. Check the capsule collector. Maybe let's make it into a pointer this time. We see it's looking upwards, so we're just rotating it to point to the correct direction, straight into the collector. And we can again add some descriptive text. Let's say check if capsule collector is empty. Maybe we don't have to put an icon now, so click on OK. And let's again add a hologram. we select the collector, press on enter. You see it's much faster now, the generation of the hologram. And let's again use the same orange, this one, or no, that one's the correct one. And make it again pulsing. So here we can see our whole workflow, but first we need to connect our last pin to the workflow end. Let's go ahead and do that. Maybe check the whole, take a look at it whole, and we can see we have the start of the workflow. The user can scan the markers, straight away the model becomes visible, and then they start seeing one pin after the other, going through one step after the other in the workflow. And then the workflow is finished. This was a quick introduction on what one can do using the Spatial Editor. Of course, there are many more features, like adding quiz pins, for example, if you want to train your user towards something. And of course, there's a lot of transformations that you can do to the model itself.